Hey everyone, you need to check out Agent CRM. It is the platform that we really wish we had before.
Oh, yeah. It has everything you need, and their team helps you get set up.
Check out Agent CRM in our description and enjoy the show.
Oh, yeah. What up?
What up?
How's everybody in the sports nation doing out there?
We're doing all good.
Good.
That's right.
Folks, I got to tell you, we got something extremely special today. 4-time CFL All-Star, 4-time Pro Bowler, 49er, Eagle, Lion, so on and so forth. If you don't know Jeff Garcia, folks, you're gonna and you should.
That's right. And you left out, he has the best single season passing season for the 49ers of all quarterbacks in their whole career. That's right there.
How could I leave that out?
You left that out.
Right. Yeah, still holding strong. Who knows?
Right.
Maybe
well, Trey's probably got a
comer here that might beat it one of these days, but somehow it's stood steady for now 20 years, I believe. So it's kind of crazy, especially with the passing game, the way that the NFL has developed over the years, and what it means for quarterbacks and how it's really been in their favor. That here these quarterbacks, some guys are throwing for over 5,000 yards every season. 4,000 plus is unheard of today. And my 4,200 yards is still holding strong there with the 49er Nation.
Could you imagine playing right now in your prime?
Oh, I know, man. I mean, the way they protect the quarterback today, the way they protect receivers, just the rules that have really been more so adapted to help the offense be more explosive, and just the talent that's out there and the passing game, how coaches are just spreading it out now and really creating single one-on-one matchups that are in their favor. It's really tough for defenses to cover all those guys, especially the weapons that are on the field. You look at what the Rams had last year. I mean, Cooper Kupp and the guys that they had, what the 49ers have at their disposal when Debo's healthy and how they utilize him. And once Brandon Ayuk got going and with Kittle, I mean, they have some weapons there. And that's the norm around the league. I mean, everybody has 2 or 3 guys plus these stud tight ends that are matchup phenoms. They're matchup beasts for any sort of DB, strong safety, linebacker. It's like these guys can't be covered. It's tough. It's great.
Could you imagine
it creates a lot of excitement, that's for sure.
Yeah, God, yeah. Right. Totally. So
go for it.
I want to get into your coaching. I mean, to me, this is probably the most important job you've had due to the fact that you're coaching the little guys.
Yeah.
For you, the transition of being told, slow the game down in the NFL, slow the game down in the NFL. How does that translate to the little guys, Pop Warner football?
It's mental preparation, man. And that's what we try to get through to them on day one, is that in order to be successful, you have to mentally prepare yourself for what you're about to go through. And if you don't understand the mental side of the game, you're going to let your teammate down. You're going to let your team down. And so accountability right from the get-go. First of all, we coach respect. We coach being a better person. We coach being a better student, a better brother, a better son. If girls are playing, the same thing. It's all about being a better person, being a better giver to your community. And then from there, we go toward the basics of fundamental football and teaching them the grassroots. And it starts with the O-line and the D-line. And I let those guys know how important they are to the team. They're the most important team within the team. Because when you look at an O-line, it's 5 guys plus a tight end, generally 6 guys that got to work together. They're a team within the team. They're a unit. And it all starts with them. If they don't do their job, then we're not going to be able to run the football. We're not going to be able to throw the football. We're not going to do anything. And so, coming from like flag football, a lot of these kids come from flag football where they're able to run a route and catch a pass or play quarterback. And now all of a sudden they get into tackle football and nobody wants to go to the O-line position. Nope. And we have to say, hey, big guy, I know you want to play another position, but you're going to be great for us on the O-line. You know what it means to be up front? Hey, first of all, you get contact all the time. You get to get physical with people. Secondly, it's on you. our team goes through you. You're the foundation of our team, and really developing that importance right from the get-go as to how important they are, that they're just not being thrown down there because we don't think that they can play a so-called skill position. It takes more skill to be up front and more cojones, so to speak. And yes, the mental game, just thinking about, okay, on this play, depending on the defensive front that I see, I'm supposed to block this guy, or I'm supposed to block that guy, or I'm double teaming them. There's a lot that goes into those guys up front, and to get them to understand that at 9 and 10 years old, because that's the team that I was coaching last year.
Man, that's
10U. And it was all of their first year playing the game of football, of tackle football. And, you know, we really set a precedent from day one, just building character, building toughness, getting them to work through pain when it comes to conditioning and all those things that they're not used to, and getting them to, hey, once you hit the field, we don't walk, we run everywhere. We're full speed, we're full go. And by training them that way, when it came to game day, that was just so much fun for them. The game actually did start to slow down for them because of that, the level of expectation that we put on them in practice. And what they were able to basically learn and adapt to throughout the season. I was so proud of those guys. We ended up winning the San Diego County Championship, man. It reminded me of back in the day when I played Pop Warner in the Bay Area. My dad coached me, and we played at PAL Stadium right there in San Jose. And man, and we had some great seasons. And I still remember those years. I still remember beating the Santa Teresa Bulldogs in the playoff game, or the EYAC, team in the championship game, and the score was, 6-2. It was just a defensive battle. But I remember, and I was 10, 11 years old. I was the same age as my boys. And so these memories will live with them forever. And for me to be a part of that, to be instrumental in that growth of all these kids, I mean, I look at them as my own kid. How do I treat them? I'm going to treat them like my own kid. I'm going to be hard on them. I'm going to crack the whip on them. And their parents loved it. I didn't get any pushback from the parents. I didn't get any feedback from the parents like, oh, you're being too hard on our kid. They're like, hey, we love it. Our son, gosh, what a changed kid he is at home. He's doing his homework. Hey, he's going to bed. He's eating better. All these things that you have an impact on these young people, and hopefully their minds, their body, all those things, and create a valuable experience like we did.
Oh, yeah.
When we were talking on the golf course, because this is really where this came from when we met, you told me, because I asked you, I said, what's going on right now? And you're like, I'm living my best life, is the word you used. And I well, why? And you said, because I'm coaching my kids. You were just talking so much about that, and that you talk about that you're hard on the kids, you're coaching all that stuff. How do you feel that these kids, like you're sharing right now how much you love these kids, how important they are to you? What is that for you? What is it that you're showing? What do you see back from them, these kids? Like you say, the parents are saying it, but are you seeing that on the field? Are you seeing that transition of them from what you're sharing, the love that you're sharing, and the coaching that you're showing them? What are you getting back in return? Because we talked about you're living your best life. What are you getting back?
First of all, as we all know, how we grew up as kids and how our kids are growing up is so different, man. My kids were at camp all day. I picked them up at 3:00. The first thing they want to do is get home, get on the technology, get on the video games, do that sort of stuff. I'm like, get outside and play, man. Get outside and find some friends on the street and play some basketball, throw the football around. But I get it. It's a different genre. It's a different mentality. And it is what it is, and hey, as much as we try to limit certain things in their life, we know that that's also what their friends are doing, how they're connecting with their friends. That's their form of communication nowadays. As much as we don't like it or we can try to fight it, that's the reality of the situation. So for me, when I get a chance to have them on the field, in whatever sport it is, whether it be basketball, which I coach at the school for the kids, flag football, which I'll coach in the off season at times when my kids play that, whatever sport they're playing in, it's really inspiring passion. And what's going to motivate them? What's going to encourage them to be their best? And how are they going to take that from what they learn out here and really take that into their everyday life? Because I learned so many valuable lessons through the game of football. And yes, I was so blessed to be able to play this game like being a child, a kid, and into my adulthood. And, you know, but it didn't come without hard work, dedication, perseverance, adversity, challenges, struggles, roller coaster ride of emotions and experiences. Hey, the highs of the high, the lows of the low. I felt it all. But how did that really create or build the character and the person that I am today? And you know, it allowed me to really understand how to approach life, how to take on failure, how to learn from failure, because we're going to fail an awful lot more than we're going to succeed in life. And for kids to understand that. Now, granted, our kids are very blessed. They grow up in a community where there's not a lot of struggle that they see. And sometimes, to me, it's almost like, I don't want to say it's a double-edged sword, but it's one of those situations where they're not learning the true lessons in life because they're not having to experience as much struggle as what other children go through. And granted, hey, we're blessed to be able to give them that positive life and a lot of good things, but kids need to struggle a little bit. They need to learn through having to battle and fight and overcome adversity. And if they're never challenged in that sort of way, I feel for what their future is going to be like. How are they going to succeed in life when all of a sudden they're not given that job, they're not passing that class, they're not given the things that they've been given throughout their life? And it's us as parents to open their eyes up to that and not allow them to always just have what they want. But it's also difficult as a parent to hold your kid back in those sort of ways. And so finding that balance for our children. But I think more than anything, when I have these kids on the field, I want to teach them how to be respectful, first of all, because I think we have allowed our children in too many ways to almost control our livelihoods in ways. Like, I mean, I think about it. My parents never had to go outside and play with me. I went outside and figured it out.
Exactly.
You know, my kids or kids today, a lot of kids today, and granted, hey, I'm not speaking for everyone, but the kids that I see, unless they're signed up for a program or an organization or some sort of structured activity, they won't go do it on their own. They won't. I mean, how many games of hide and seek or capture the flag or, hey, Cowboys and Indians or just building forts and getting creative. I mean, wiffle ball games in the front yard. I mean, you name it, we did it. And they don't know how to do that. They're like, Dad, come and throw the football with me. And I'm like, there's 4 of you. That's why we had 4 kids so close together, so you guys could have each other and go out and do things together and, hey, run the neighborhood. And you're asking me to, hey, I'm 52 years old. I'm not the kid I once used to be.
So I want to go back to while you're coaching and developing these kids at 9, 10, and 11, 12 that are going to be coming up, that aha moment when that young ball player finally gets it. How does that make you feel as a coach?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely a sense of accomplishment when you see where these kids started, you know. And I didn't even know, as the head coach of the team, I'm going in the first day of practice and I'm like, okay, what are these kids capable of processing? What are we going to introduce to them, and how are they going to learn it and grow from it? And then all of a sudden, when they started to develop and it started to click, and seeing them, hey, the pulling guard pull and actually get around the edge and be looking for the guy he's supposed to be looking for and leading on a sweep play or whatever the case may be. Seeing those things happen and how they just started to really connect together and work for each other, is that great? I think that's the greatest thing in team sports altogether. And whether it's at the highest of levels or at the startup levels, I mean, especially at the startup levels, when you see those kids start to get it and it starts to click, that's when they become unbeatable in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And it makes the game so much more fun when you are experiencing success on the field. Absolutely.
We just interviewed Charles Greer from De La Salle, the running back who just committed to Fresno State. And we had a conversation in there with him about De La Salle's long known I got your back theory and or the process that they always pick each other up.
Yeah.
Is that what you were kind of alluding to in a little bit, that about each one of them really are committed to each other and they got each other's back? Is that something you try to instill with your kids as well when you're coaching?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's so important, is to be a great teammate. Hey, to have your teammates back. Hey, we're a brotherhood. We're really creating a brotherhood here on the field. I mean, these guys are not just your teammates. Hey, they're your soldiers in battle. They're your brotherhood. Hey, this is your family, and treat it like your family. And hey, you're not always going to see eye to eye, but at the end of the day, hey, when it comes to going to war, going to battle, you have each other's back and you stand up for each other. And I think that's so important. I mean, that's how you really build that team chemistry. And, that's what I remember from the days of playing the game. Yes, I remember the experiences on the field, but the locker room experiences, my teammates, just the bond that I had, the brotherhood that I had with those guys, and what it meant to go to battle with those guys each and every day, whether it be on the practice field and definitely on the game field, but what it meant in that sort of way. And just, those relationships that were built over those years that are forever standing with me today. And that's what these kids are going to have. So many of my Pop Warner buddies are still buddies today. I mean, it's crazy going back to when I was 10 years old, going back 42, 43 years when I started playing that game, how those guys are still friends and still reach out and still connect. And it's almost like time was never passed us by. It's like reconnecting and being like we've been talking to each other every single day. But that's what these kids are going to develop. And that's what I want to see them develop, because I think that's important. I think it's important just in life and really valuing relationships, valuing whether you're in a workplace or at home or in school, valuing the people that you have around you and understanding how they affect your life. And hopefully that helps you determine who you want to surround yourself with as you continue to grow and go down this journey in their own lives.
Wow. Yes.
I got two interesting, a little different type of questions, because I always like to ask this question.
Oh yeah.
But it's going to be one that goes to you, and then it's going to go to the kids. The first one is, did you have superstitions as a player?
I knew this was coming.
And the second part of that is, are you seeing some funny or interesting superstitions in the kids that you coach?
Well, I definitely did. I think just the way that when I showed up to the stadium, what I ate prior to a game, just my routine of how I went to bed each night before a game, and then how I would dress for a game, just how I wanted to feel, how I wanted to look, the certain style that I wanted to present myself with. And, so there are definitely superstitions that I myself had, and that I think many players have, just in a sense, it's more of their routine than anything else, and I think that's what they get used to. And if they're taken out of their routine, it can be disruptive. And how do they overcome that challenge? And just for instance, one of those routines that really screwed with us was when I played in the Canadian Football League. It was different as far as our home games. Home games in the NFL teams generally, the home team even, generally goes to a hotel the night before a game.
Mhm.
They're not allowed to stay at their own home because coaches want to control the environment. And you understand that that's how it is. So you get used to that. Well, in the Canadian Football League, money is different. And so during the regular season, we never stayed in a hotel. We'd always stay at our own home. And I played for the Calgary Stampeders. And man, we were a dominant organization. We would win. We'd have the best record going into the playoffs every single year. We'd have home field advantage. And now all of a sudden the playoffs would begin and our coach would want to put us into a hotel the night before a game. Well, now we're all of a sudden in a hotel and it kind of messes with our home routine.
Yeah.
And we didn't play very well at home. Well, the final year that I was there, we're like, coach, we don't want to stay in a hotel the night before a game. Trust us that we're going to do the right thing. Hey, we'll police our guys. We know how important this game is. If anybody's out screwing around, hey, we'll crack the whip on. They better not be. This is too important. And, you know, we stayed at home and it was just a different thing. I remember because here's the other thing. We were staying in a hotel and I had a roommate. So I had another guy sleep in the room. The room was cold as hell. I was freezing all night. I had the worst night of sleep of my life. And now I'm playing in the most important game of my life. And I'm like, this doesn't work, man. This doesn't work. As far as the kids are concerned, I think
Like your kids got to have something that you see.
well, I think they start to develop certain styles and certain habits. I know my boy that I coached on the 10U level, he plays quarterback and he had a routine every time he'd go up to the line of scrimmage behind the center. He'd like lick his fingers and he'd, you know, tuck his towel in. And I mean, if the guy was taking almost the whole 40-second clock, I'm like, hurry up, Jack, hurry up. Come on, call the play. But yeah, you know, I mean, I think, you know, they're going through that whole experience of learning what it's all about and like the nerves, the nervousness, I think more than anything. And, you know, I tell my boy, he's like, gosh, I'm so nervous, Dad. My stomach's achy. And I'm like, hey man, I was nervous all the way into my 40s, man. It never leaves you. But once you get that first throw out of the way or that first hit, you know, it relaxes you. It kind of wakes you up and you're like ready to go.
I wanted to ask this because a lot of ball players, they don't get drafted. They go on the practice squad or they go to the CFL. How integral was the CFL for you becoming a better quarterback?
Oh, well, here, let's just think about it. When kids come out, athletes, young men, come out of college, they're 21, 22 years old. They're not their best at that time. They may have been hell of great college football players, but there's still years of maturity, still years of mental and physical growth ahead of them. Yep. You know, me going to the CFL for 5 years, when I finally came into the NFL, I was 29 years old. I was pretty much a man at that point.
Sure.
I had a better understanding of how my body worked, mentally, physically, what I needed to do to prepare myself. I had continued to develop, continued to grow, continued to challenge myself. I really felt like I was about to hit my prime at that point. And, you know, a lot of these kids, unfortunately, get on the chopping blocks at 22, 23, 24 years old and may not get another opportunity and may be like me. And not to say that I was a late bloomer. I just wasn't given the shot coming out of college to go into the NFL. But who knows what these kids may have developed into. And you never know, based upon work ethic, based upon dedication, based upon what they're able to, how they're able to develop their mind and process the game, especially at the quarterback position. And especially when you look at some of these young quarterbacks who are drafted with the higher picks, who are thrown to the wolves on bad football teams right away. How does that hurt their mental ability to stay confident, to continue to grow? Or are they shot at such an early age and now the ghosts, the fears that are now instilled in them, they can't overcome it? and you see that with so many of these number one draft picks that have failed. It's probably 50% that prosper, 50% that fail. And when you look at many of these picks that go to the teams that need quarterbacks, also need a lot of other things.
True.
And they're thrown to the wolves and expected to carry a team on their shoulders when they're 22, 23 years old. And if they're not able to do it, the daggers start coming their way. The fans start beating them up. The media beats them up. They're still young men. How do they deal with that? And people could say, oh, well, they're getting paid a lot of money to do it. Well, doesn't mean that you're not emotionally affected. And once you're emotionally affected, especially as a quarterback, it interrupts with everything as to how you approach and play the game. Your vision becomes different. Your anticipation becomes different. You start looking for the sure thing, which there's never a sure thing. You still have to process the information. And so that's where I feel like, especially at the quarterback position, the struggles of young players really hurts their development and doesn't allow them to really, truly grow to be the player that they were probably capable of being. I look at the young quarterback from Cleveland, the young guy that's now going to Carolina. I guess. Baker. Just 2 seasons ago, he led him to a 4th and 1 away from going to, I think, the Super Bowl, right? Or at least the NFC or AFC championship game against the Chiefs. I mean, they were a 4th and 1 away from beating the Chiefs.
Yep.
And last year, there's struggles. First of all, there's struggles probably in the locker room.
Oh, yeah.
With the receiver and Beckham dealing with him. Secondly, your running back goes down with injury. You're dealing with injury. You still are a game or 2 away late in the season of still making the playoffs. And you're a young player. You're developing, you're growing, you're gritty, you're tough. And now they're going to cast you aside. And it's like, that's typical Cleveland to me. It's typical Cleveland. Like, we're not happy. Shoot, he's the best quarterback you've had since I've been there. The best quarterback you've had since the franchise came back as far as draft picks are concerned. How many first round and early round draft picks have they wasted on quarterbacks? And now you finally have a kid who can play, and you're going to throw him aside because he had one tough year or a struggle, but yet you were still on the verge of making the playoffs.
Yep.
And now you're going to a guy who even knows what's going to happen with him as far as his opportunity to play the game based upon his own background. So, those things are too bad. And I hope that he goes to Carolina and he's able to put it together and allow it to be fuel to his fire instead of something that breaks him down. I think he will.
Hey, I want to go back because, we want to talk about the kids again. You got a daughter.
2 daughters. Yeah.
2 daughters. Okay.
2 daughters. Yeah.
I know as, I have 2 daughters. He's got a million. How has that changed you by being a dad of a daughter? You're footballing, you're in the manland, you got the boys and the football and you're coaching. What's different being the dad of the daughter?
Yeah, I think just the sensitivity and the emotional side that you connect with your girls on, and just the protectiveness that you have for them and the security that you want to put around them. And, it's important to me to teach their brothers to protect their sisters. And, you see what happens with siblings. They get in little arguments, they get in little fights. And granted, our kids are so great together and spend so much time together and are so close in age, but they have their moments. And my youngest daughter is strong-willed, man. She's the boss baby, and she knows so much. She seems way too educated and way too mature for her age, but I think that's going to help her in the long run. But it's important for me to teach her brothers, to teach my boys that you need to respect your sisters. You need to protect your sisters. You need to treat them the right way. And, don't be those little punks that are, that are not doing the right thing. And for me, just being a dad, I mean, I'm so blessed to have 4 healthy, beautiful children, first of all, but girls that are active, they're engaged in sports, they love sports, they want to shoot. My oldest daughter wanted to play football, and I'm just like, honey, I know you think you could get out there and play, but it's a different game physically, and you're not wired that way. But she, she's a talented little girl, and she wanted to get out there and compete with the boys. And I'm not saying she couldn't have done it at a younger age. I might have been more open to it, but with COVID and losing 2 years of Pop Warner football, she got to that age where she'd have been with the big boys, and I'm like, no, honey, that's just not going to work. How about lacrosse or field hockey? Let's find something that works for you that still gives you a little bit of contact or something like that. Yeah. But that being said, so blessed that they're athletic. They love sports. They're active. They're smart kids. They're good kids. I mean, their mom and I, we have a great relationship in just parenting and supporting each other. And nice. That's what it's all about. We want to give them the best opportunity to succeed in life, and want them to know that, hey, the importance of being a better person, being a good student, being a giving person in life are what are going to, be important attributes for you as children growing into adults.
What do you do well as a coach?
Inspire.
Yeah. Nice. What would you do differently as a coach?
Be a little more organized.
Nice. And what do you think you need work on as a coach?
Well, let me see. That's a good one. What do I think I need to work on more as a coach? I think, the organization falls into that topic, but I think, okay, here's what I can work on as a coach is trusting in my staff and giving up some of the control. I think part of being a quarterback, always being a leader, you had control of really every position. You knew what was going on. You know how you want things to be operated. And so for me, just continuing to work on it. And I think I'm actually pretty good at it as far as giving coaches their responsibility. But, there are times when I see something being done and I want to interrupt it right now, but I have to pull back the reins a little bit and leave that discussion for after practice so that we can correct it and not embarrass or put somebody out on point in front of the kids. And I think that's the most important thing is especially when you're working with more dads that are just volunteering their time and not everybody's background of football is extensive as mine. And so you have some different methodologies that are going to be dealt with out there. Coaching at the college game or the NFL game, you're generally coaching with coaches that have a lot of experience. Right. At the Pop Warner level, it's a whole different story. You just hope that dads want to volunteer and help out. And so that's one of the things where, first of all, being organized, making sure that going into practice, everybody knows their role and knows their responsibility. And if they need help, how can I help you? But secondly, now when it's being handled during a practice or during a game like situation, don't be that guy that belittles another person because you feel like he's not doing something right. Handle it in a way that's professional and doesn't embarrass anybody.
That's awesome.
That was such a great answer.
You know what I love about these 3 questions is the elite athletes always answer the work question so descriptively. And I love it due to the fact that they're always working to make themselves better every day. And even as a coach, we do that as well. So thank you. I've
got one left. for him. Jeff, I just appreciate that you came on, and you've been such a great guy, and just meeting you on the golf course. It was a pleasure to down to earth and throw the ball around with you on the ninth hole. It was so much fun.
Good time out there. Absolutely.
But on Sundays, you're watching. Are you a team fan, or is this very specific to individual players that you love? Because you've been on the reporter side, you're definitely a 49er fan, I would think, still. But are you more a fan of the player? So you could love players all over the league more than you are of the team, or are you more of a team fan?
Yeah, I still have my loyalties to the teams. You know, there are a couple teams that obviously I played for that I still am a fan of. I'm always going to be a fan of the 49ers. And there was a time when, hey, you don't always leave on the note that you want to leave. And I think unless you're, you know, a Peyton Manning or a John Elway who left on Super Bowl marks and left how they wanted to leave, it rarely happens that way. But, you know, I grew up a fan of, first of all, Bay Area sports. I wasn't just a fan of Niners. I was a fan of the Raiders, being able to watch Ken Stabler, Jim Plunkett, Mark Van Egan, hey, Cliff Branch, Lester Hayes, all the great Raiders back in the 70s and 80s, and those great teams. And then we were fortunate to have the 80s and 90s with the 49ers, and Joe Montana was my idol. That was the guy that I just loved and wanted to emulate and wanted to be just like Joe. And so we were blessed in the Bay Area and with baseball as well. I was just a fan of the teams. And so I still support the Niners, definitely. And, you know, I love seeing them do well. You know, I took my kids to the final regular season game in LA against the Rams. And that was like 60% Niner fans in that stadium. And it was awesome. Such a great atmosphere, great environment. Tailgating with the 49er fans before the game in their section was a blast. A lot of fun. And my kids are like, Dad, let's go into the stadium. I want to get autographs. And I'm like, kids, it's not like you can just walk on the field. That's not going to happen. Yeah, we want to get autographs. I'm like, we don't even know where we're sitting. We don't know if we could get down there. And plus the players are preparing for the game. They're not signing anything. Enjoy a taco. Come on. But, you know, so I am still a supporter of, you know, I want to see the Niners do well. And then, yes, there are players around the league that, you know, grab my attention. Hey, that connection in Cincinnati with Burrow and Chase, the receiver, I mean, just was awesome last year. So much fun to watch, you know, these young guys. You know, and I get myself caught up in watching Mahomes in Kansas City and the weapons that he has had over the years and just how they attack down the field. And of course, I played for Andy Reid, and he's a great guy. And I have a lot of love and respect and appreciation for Andy. So I like seeing him do well. And so, you know, there's a couple teams, obviously playing for Philly, playing for Tampa. You know, it's tough to continue to be a Browns or a Lions fan when those were tough atmospheres, tough environments to play in, and tough experiences, you know, and I'm just one of many that have gone through there and have probably left with the same kind of taste as far as how it went. And so, you know, it's not that I don't wish those teams well. I want more than anything for those teams to turn themselves around and to create a winning experience and to give those fans something to cheer for, because those fans deserve it. They deserve something to cheer for and have a winning organization. But yeah, you know, I'm a Bay Area guy, born and raised, and still have loyalty there. And, you know, I want to see them back on top. So we'll see what happens.
And year. I lied. I got another one because he just said, you know, he's a Bay Area fan, but he also played at San Jose State.
Oh yeah.
And San Jose State.
Yeah, I see that Bulldog shirt, and I see that Bulldog.
Hey, hold on. CSM, baby.
San
CSM.
Mateo. That's San Mateo.
San Mateo, baby.
I got you. All right.
All right. But they're playing amazing. That team coming together right now. You got to be following what the Spartans are doing, right?
Yeah, two seasons ago was exciting. To have an undefeated year, to beat the teams that they beat that year. Last year they struggled a little bit, and you know, hopefully with what Brennan has done, with what the coach has done there, he's done an outstanding job. And what San Jose State has needed and what he's brought to them is consistency and continuity. And, you know, I'm an example of the lack of continuity. When I was at San Jose State, I had 3 head coaches in 3 years. It's tough to continue to win and to compete at a high level when you go through that sort of turnover. And when you're learning a new offense, when you have a different methodology of the type of player you're scouting or recruiting, all those sort of things affect the program. And to finally have a coach that is loyal to the program, he's a San Jose guy. His dad went to San Jose State, played at San Jose State. Yes, he's going to have opportunities to rise to higher levels, to get paid better, but he loves it there. He wants to change the culture there, and he's done a great job of changing the culture there and bringing a competitive environment to where they really truly give themselves a chance to win on any given weekend. And that's all you can ask. And you know, hopefully this year they win more than they lose. Hopefully they're back in the hunt for the Mountain West Conference Championship, and it'll be exciting to watch them play this year. And hopefully I can make it out to a game there in Spartan Stadium.
Jeff, it's been amazing. Are you still good? You got something?
I got one more.
Okay, we're gonna take it all.
I'm sorry. I get so excited and then they start coming.
All right.
I got one more. All right. That's it. I promise.
Good thing I fed my kids already.
That's right. Come
Thank
on,
God. Oh, man. All right. Here we go. Cleveland Browns come to you and they say, hey, we want you to GM. What's your first move?
Well, I'd have to look at where the weaknesses are of that team and really look at how do we develop and strengthen that part. You know, in looking at that team, it looks like, I mean, just over the last couple of years, take out the injury situations, they developed their offensive line has seemed relatively solid. They have a great little running back. They've had some pretty good personnel at the wide receiver position. I think the tight end position can be improved. I'm not sure who they have right now. The defensive line is solid. Defensively, I think they've gotten better. So, you know, without truly knowing personnel, I would, you know, like too often times I think GMs come in and they're like, we need to draft a quarterback. Well, your quarterback's not going to be anything if you don't have an offensive line or a running game behind him.
Nope.
You know, hey, get that offensive line. If I'm looking at it from an offensive standpoint, we're going to build the offensive line. We're going to make sure we're as good as we can be up front. And then we're going to get a hell of a running back so that we have a great running game and we can get third and short yardage through the ground. And that's only going to help your quarterback because we're going to rely on play action, some movement, some quick games, some things like that, where we're going to change up the pace of the game. But, you know, you can't just, unless you have Mahomes or some of these special guys like Johnson out there in Buffalo, you can't just spread it out and line up in shotgun every down because defenses are too damn good. They're too damn physical. And you got to be able to have some balance on offense. And that's what's hopefully going to help whoever the quarterback may be in San Francisco.
True. Truth. Hey, Jeff, thank you
so much.
Go win that San Diego championship again.
Let's get it.
Have the time of your life. Live your best life, like you said to me when we were on the golf course that you are. And I hope to circle around with you again. It's been a pleasure. Pleasure to meet you and just in person, just a stand-up guy. So
absolutely,
somebody who's out there for the community and taking care of things. Best of luck with your camp out in Gilroy.
Yeah, July 30th. Hey, it's not too far for anybody from Sacramento to come on out. July 30th at Gilroy High School at Garcia Elder Field, right there in my hometown of Gilroy. 8 to 10, we'll be having the 6 to 9-year-olds, 10 to 13-year-olds from 12 to 2. So it's going to be a great day.
Matt, what up? I appreciate you. Love you, my friend.
Definitely.
And we'll talk to you in the future, my friend.
From us here at What Up Sports, you guys have a great day and a better tomorrow. Thank you, Jeff.
What up?